Hello everyone, Baxter here and welcome back to the channel, and I feel like this is deja vu because we are once again talking about a Red Bull driver switch. Yes, if the reports to be believed, and pretty much everyone is talking about it, Liam Lawson, after just 2 races, is out at Red Bull and Yuki Tsunoda will be getting the drive. Now, the reason I said this feels like deja vu is simply because I was literally talking about Lawson replacing Checo and the controversy surrounding that at the back of the end of last year, and how many felt that Yuki should have got the drive, and we're now already in a position where Lawson is being dropped and being replaced by Yuki. Wow, this is crazy. I mean, Red Bull have done ruthless driver switches in the past. You think of Danny Kvyat being dropped after 4 races in 2016. Of course, he'd done the full season before in 15, but this is ruthless even by Red Bull standards. And look, I feel sorry for Liam. I'm going to come out and say it. I feel sorry for Liam. I feel he's been treated appallingly by Red Bull. Look, his performances have not been good. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, he's done all right. No, he's been awful. But I think that speaks A, more to the car, and B, to the environment that he's currently in. Look, Lawson showed in his time in RB that he could drive. Yeah, he's a very competent driver. That drive in Austin last year, very underrated, where he inherited Daniel Ricciardo's penalty, did a qualifying time faster than Yuki to get into Q2, and then went from the back of the grid up to about P9. If that doesn't tell you that this kid has got skills, then I don't know what does. Coupled with the fact that also he dominated Alex Albon in DTM. Like, they were teammates when Alex had his sabbatical year from F1. Liam kicked his ass. Like, it was not close. So Liam is a good driver. I just felt that he was put into the Red Bull environment way too soon. He needed another season at RB before they should have even considered giving him the drive. And unfortunately, once again for Red Bull, it's blown up in their faces. It's just ridiculous that ever since Daniel Ricciardo left, this second seat has been an absolute millstone around the neck of Red Bull. Like, yeah, Checo was there for 4 years, but what did he do, realistically? Like, okay, he helped Max win the championship in 2021, and he played a relatively big role in winning the Constructors' Championship in 2022, but he was struggling from 2023 onwards and did nothing last year. I mean, he cost them the Constructors' Championship last year with his poor performances. But it's clear that there are issues at Red Bull at hand. You know, the car isn't where anybody wants it to be. Max has been very vocal about the fact that he's not overly happy with where the car is. And of course, Max wants to win a championship this year, which I personally still think he will do, but it's going to be a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, particularly with the performance of the McLarens and also the performance of George Russell in the Mercedes. And once the Ferraris get their act together, they're going to be difficult to beat as well. So Max is going to be right in the thick of it this year. And he was once again on his own because Liam was right at the back of the grid. But what's to say that Yuki will be better? Now, I think Yuki's experience, will make it easier for Red Bull, and I think he will probably perform better than Liam will do. I'm not saying he's going to start challenging Max and out-qualify him or anything. I think he's probably... Look, the minimum for Yuki is to get into Q2. That's the bare minimum here. Get into Q2, all's good with the world. Because people will be like, oh, well, he's already done better than Lawson. But what a low bar that is to clear. I think if Yuki can just be solid and be basically where he is now in the RB, I think he's doing a good job. But he is under severe pressure, and the most pressure he would have been under at any point in his career. I hope he goes well, because I want him to prove the doubters wrong. There were people last year that when Liam got the drive that were saying, no. Yuki wasn't good enough, he shouldn't have got the drive, blah, blah, blah. When actually he proved that he'd been the best Red Bull junior for the last few years since Pierre Gasly left, and had more than earned his right to drive in that Red Bull. It's come 2 races later, and if reports are to be believed, Honda have stumped up some cash and are wanting to help, wanting to give Red Bull some money to put Yuki in the seat. Of course, Yuki is a Honda driver as much as he is a Red Bull driver, so they've definitely played their part in getting him the drive. But What does this say about the management of Red Bull that they once again can't get their driver lineup right? Christian Horner gave Checo a contract extension last year, and it backfired because when he put pen to paper on that contract, he was terrible. And that's why they ended up sacking him and paying him a load of money to exit his contract early. And then when he was given the choice of an experienced driver in Yuki and an inexperienced driver in Liam, he thought, oh, Liam's more to our liking because he's got a better mentality. And yet you've now ended up dumping him after 2 races. What are you doing? That's gross incompetence in terms of leadership. That you've made 2 howling errors, let alone the decisions to put Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon in the car previously. I'm sorry, but that's just not good enough for a leader of his capability. And I think it says a lot about him, and it says a lot about the decision making of Helmut Marko as well, that they just can't seem to get the decisions on their drivers right. And also, if reports to be believed, Max Verstappen is not happy about this. He wanted the team to rally around Liam to try and help him be better, whilst also fixing the flaws in the car. Now, I've seen some criticism from stupid fans who say that this is just Max saying he doesn't want a quick teammate. Quite frankly, that's nonsense. What Max is trying to do is he's trying to say, look, the second driver is not the problem here. The problem is the car. Yeah, by my reckoning, I think Red Bull are just about the 4th fastest team. I think, and when I say just about, I mean they are very close between Mercedes and Ferrari. Like, they're not that far behind them, and I think Max is kind of proving the point of difference at the moment. And that's not a position that Max wants to be in. He wants to be in a better car that makes his quest for the title that little bit easier. But seemingly, and from the outside looking in, it looks like Red Bull are just saying, well, it's the driver's fault. Now, I know that's not the case. That isn't the case at all. We know that Red Bull know they've got issues with the car, and Helmut Marko seems to think that there's a silver bullet upgrade coming, which, trust me, as a Mercedes fan, that's not how it works. That just isn't how it works. Clearly, it's going to take a few updates for this Red Bull to get back to where they were. But it doesn't say much for the engineering team, where they have built a car that basically only one guy can drive because the performance window in it is so narrow. And not only that, but they've sacked a guy after 2 races at 2 tracks where he has never raced before. The next race is in Suzuka, where Liam spent a lot of time because he's raced in Super Formula previously. He knows that track really well. I think they probably should have given Liam this upcoming Japanese Grand Prix in a couple of weeks' time to really see what he's capable of. But instead, they've decided to ditch him. And obviously, for press reasons and for publicity reasons, it's going to be great because you're bringing in a Japanese driver to the 4th fastest car alongside the World Drivers' Champion at the Japanese Grand Prix. That's going to be incredible publicity for the team. But, what does this say about them that they've had to make this decision? As I said, I hope Yuki goes well. I really hope he does. And if he improves upon Lawson's results, then that's job done. And to be honest with you, whether he survives beyond the end of this season, I don't know. Because, Honda are going off to Aston Martin, and Red Bull may want to put somebody else in the car. I mean, who they put in alongside Max, I don't know. And of course, there is the question of, will Max stay beyond this season? Is he currently looking at the way Red Bull are going and saying, I need to get out of here? Because for my money, I thought he was going to wait and see what happened with the Ford project next year with the new engine regulations, if the new engine regulations happen, but that's a whole nother discussion point. But he was going to wait and see what the Ford project was offering up, and then go and make a decision on his future. Is the current mess at Red Bull and the way that the leadership are handling things going to prompt Max to leave sooner? George Russell hasn't signed he's frozen his contract talks. He's always been linked with Mercedes, and a lot of his fans are starting to say actually maybe a move to Mercedes would be best for Max. And of course there's Aston Martin as well, that has Honda, that has Adrian Newey. Why would you not go there? That would make a hell of a lot of sense for Max, given his relationship with both of those, with the company and the person. it would make sense. I've been beating the drum of Max going to Aston Martin for over a year now, because I think it makes more logical sense for him to go there than it does for him to go to Mercedes. Though as a Mercedes fan, despite my personal dislike of Max, I would take him every day of the week. But what a mess Red Bull have got themselves into. They are doing a driver switch after 2 races. There are questions for the management, both Horner and Marko. There's pressure on Tsunoda. What's Lawson going to do in an RB alongside Hadjar? He's probably going to be fine because he's a good driver. But there is a lot that remains to be seen. But what do you guys think? Are you happy that Lawson is gone? Do you think that he should have been given more time? Comment below, let me know, and if you want to see more content from me, please do hit the subscribe button below, and I will try and get some more videos out over the next wee while. Until next time guys, stay safe, and I shall speak to you all very, very soon.